Welcome back, dear friends, to your daily dose of ancient wisdom. Today we continue our reading of Srimad Bhagavata Mahapurana, Tritiya Skandha or Book 3, Discourse 14, which talks about Diti's conception. Sri Sukha continued. Vidura, who had taken a vow of hearing the Lord's praises, did not feel satiated even on listening from the mouth of Maitreya, the son of Kusaru, to the story of Srihari, who had taken the form of a boar with a special motive, that of rescuing the earth. With joined palms uplifted, he therefore questioned the sage again. Vidura said, "We have just heard from you, O crest jewel of sages, how Hiranyaksha, the earliest of the Daityas or sons of Diti, was slain by Srihari, who had taken the form of a boar representing all sacrifices. As he was playfully engaged in lifting up the earth out of the water on the ends of his tusks, how did he come to have an encounter with that demon king, O holy sage?" Maitreya replied, "You have asked a good question, O valiant Vidura, inasmuch as your enquiry relates to the story of Srihari's descent as the divine boar, which cuts asunder the noose of birth and death in case of mortals. It was through the story of Srihari narrated by sage Narada that Dhruva, the son of King Uttanapada, even as a child, set his foot on the head of death and ascended to the abode of Srihari. Now, in this connection, I have heard the following anecdote, which was told by Brahma, the god of gods, in response to a query by the gods. Once, Diti, a daughter of Daksha, who was eager to obtain a son, sought the company of her husband Kashyapa, son of Marichi, while it was only dusk, stung as she was by the darts of love, O Vidura. Having just finished offering oblations of rice boiled in milk to the Supreme Person, the Lord of Sacrifices, who was the flames of fire for his tongue, the sage sat absorbed in deep meditation in the shrine of fire, knowing that sun was about to set. Diti said, "O sage, just as a wild elephant crushes a banana tree, this god of love, bow in hand, displays his valor against me, a helpless woman, and is tormenting me on your account. Therefore, God bless you, show your grace to me, burning as I am with jealousy to see the happiness and prosperity of my co-wives, who are already blessed with children. Those wives alone are held in great esteem by their husbands and enjoy worldwide fame, whose husband, like you, is reproduced through them in the shape of a son. Our father, the worshipful Daksha, who was fond of his daughters, severally asked us long ago, when we were still unmarried, 'Whom are you going to choose for your match, dear ones?' When he came to know our mind through other source, since we made no reply out of bashfulness, he gave away to you these 13 of us who come forward to your nature, since he was keen to multiply his race. Therefore, O blessed Lord with lotus eyes, be pleased to grant my wish, for the afflicted never resorts to the great in vain, O perfect one." Seeing her miserable and pleading much in the aforesaid manner, and finding that her reason had been clouded by intense passion, O heroic Vidura, Kashyapa, the son of Marichi, replied to her in a conciliatory tone as follows: "I shall presently gratify you by granting your wish, O timid one. Who would not grant the desire of one's own wife, through whom one is able to achieve the threefold object of human pursuit, namely the worldly possessions, gratification of the senses, and religious merit? Even as one is able to cross the ocean by means of a vessel, so does a married man or a householder cross the ocean of vow by conquering the senses through married life, taking with him the other 3 ashramas, namely the student community, the anchorite class, and the others of the recluses, all of whom depend on the householder as well. The scriptures speak of a wife as the other half of the body of a man seeking the three objects of human pursuit, O proud lady. For shifting his whole burden of maintaining the household onto her, a man moves about in the world free from anxiety. Just as the governor of a fortress easily conquers a host of marauders, so by falling back upon her, we householders are able to subdue without any difficulty enemies in the shape of our senses, which people belonging to other ashramas find hard to conquer. We cannot absolutely get squared with you, O Queen of the House, in a whole lifetime, nay, not even in the lives to come, nor can others who have a bias for virtues. Nonetheless, I shall do my best to grant this desire of yours for offspring. But please wait for an hour or so in order that the world may not reproach me. The present is a most ominous hour, favorable to frightful creatures like the demons, and fearful to look at. At this hour, the ghosts and the spirits forming the retinue of Sri Rudra, the ruler of the spirits, move about. At this juncture of the day and night, O virtuous lady, Lord Rudra, the protector of all being, goes on the back of his favorite bull Nandi, accompanied by his entourage of ghosts. With his glittering mass of matted hair thrown into disorder and soiled on account of the dust raised by the whirlwind sweeping the cremation grounds, and his silver-white body covered with a coat of ashes, Lord Shankara, your sister's husband, is watching all with his three eyes in the form of sun, the moon, and the fire. Really speaking, however, no one in this world is akin or an alien to him, and no one is highly esteemed or most despised in his eyes. Yet the pity of it is that we, for our part, covet as a reward for our religious observances that very Maya, a supernatural power and prosperity which he has enjoyed and spurned. Those wise men who are keen to pierce the wheel of ignorance recount his spotless doing. Although there is none equal to him, much less greater, and he is the goal of the virtuous, yet he conducts himself in a manner of fades, moving about all naked, besmeared with ashes, and adorned with a wreath of skulls, so on. Those unfortunate people alone who adorn their person, which really speaking is the food of dogs, with wearing apparel, garlands of flowers, ornaments, and pigments, treating it as their very self, laugh at the conduct of Lord Shiva, who ever delights in his own self, ignorant of his purpose in leading of this sort life, which is to teach the world how to develop indifference to the world as well as to one's own body. Even Brahma and the other gods, to say nothing of us, respect the bounds set by him. Nay, he alone is the cause of this universe, Maya being his handmaid. How strange that he should conduct himself in a manner of feats, indestructible indeed are the doings of the Almighty Lord. Maitreya continued. In spite of her husband's remonstrances, Diti, whose mind had been completely shaken by love, seized the holy Brahmana by his garment, casting all modesty to the wind like a common woman. When he saw his wife's unusual insistence on that prohibited act, Kashyapa bowed to the providence and then sought seclusion with her. Thereafter he bathed in water, controlled his breath and speech, and began to mutter the holy syllable Om, fixing his thought on its meaning, the immutable, self-effulgent, eternal Brahma. Diti too felt ashamed on account of the sin that attached to her conduct, O Vidura, a descendant of Bharata. She therefore approached the holy Brahmana and with her face cast down spoke to him as follows. Diti said, Let not Lord Rudra, O holy sage, who is the foremost of all beings as well as the ruler of spirits, destroy the seed in my womb because I have committed an offense against him. Obsequious to the great god Shiva, who is irresistible in power and who drives away the agony of his devotees and bestows the desired blessings on those who approach him with a prayer, who is all blissful to the disinterested worshippers, who, though perfectly non-violent by nature, yet wields the rod for the wicked, and whose anger is personified at the time of universal destruction. May the Almighty Lord Shiva, the spouse of Sati, my brother-in-law, who is extremely compassionate by nature, be gracious unto us, women who deserve the mercy even of the hard-hearted hunter. Maitreya went on. Kashyapa, who had just finished his evening devotions, saw his wife Diti shaking violently with fear, and soliciting for her pregnancy the blessing of this as well as others' world, and spoke to her as follows. Kashyapa said, "Since your mind was impure, tainted with lust, the hour was unfavorable for conception. You transgressed my command, and lastly, because you disregarded the gods, Lord Rudra and his attendants. O impious woman, a pair of wicked and unworthy sons will be born of you, sons that will make all the three worlds as well as their protectors cry again and again, O irascible lady. When they proceed to kill helpless and innocent creatures, violate the chastity of women, and anger exalted souls, the Lord, who is the ruler of the universe and the delighter of all the worlds, will be enraged, and coming down to this world from his divine abode will slay them, even as Indra, the wielder of thunderbolts, struck down the mountains." Diti said, "I too would rather have my sons die at the hands of Lord himself, whose long and mighty arm is adorned with the discus of Sudarshana. Let them not die under the curse of an angered Brahmana, my lord. Even the denizens of hell refuse to show any favor to him who is consumed by the curse of Brahmana, as well as to him who has been a terror of living beings, no matter to whatever species of life he may be consigned after death." Kashyapa said, "Since you feel sorry and are full of remorse for what you have done, and right judgment has soon reverted to you, and since you cherish extreme reverence for the Lord Vishnu and deep regard for Lord Bhava or Shiva and myself too, one of the four sons of your elder son will prove worthy to esteem even for holy men. Nay, people will sing his fair renown along with the Lord's own glory. Even as gold of inferior quality is purified by being heated in fire, pious souls will cleanse their heart through disciplines of various kinds, such as freedom from animosity, in order to emulate his noble disposition and character. The Lord, who is the witness of his own self, and whose grace alone brings happiness to his universe, consists of himself, will be gratified with his exclusive view that the Lord alone is true. He will be great devotee of the Lord, magnanimous, high-souled, and the noblest of the noble, installing Lord Vishnu in his heart, purified through intense devotion. He will give up his false identification with the body. A mind of good qualities, he will have no attachment to the pleasures of senses, and will be steadfast in virtue. He will feel delighted at the prosperity of others, and will be grieved to see others in trouble. Regarding none as his enemy, he will rid the world of its sorrows, even as the moon relieves the heat of the summer. Nay, your grandson will behold in his heart, through meditation as well as outside, the lotus-eyed Lord, who is immaculate by nature, who assumes form according to the wishes of his own devotees, whose countenance is adorned with brilliant earrings, and who is the ornament of goddess Shri, the embodiment of womanly charms." Maitreya continued. Diti felt much delighted to hear that her grandson would be a great devotee of the Lord, and was proud to learn that her sons would meet their death at the hands of Sri Krishna or Lord Vishnu himself. Thus ends the 14th discourse in Book 3, comprising, among other things, the dialogue between Diti and Kashyapa of the great and glorious Bhagavata Purana, otherwise known as Paramahamsa Samhita. Thank you.